Welcome to G.I. Joe RPG Stories. In this podcast, I present fictional after-action reports based on our game sessions playing the G.I. Joe role-playing game by Renegade Game Studios. I am David Martel, the Game Master, and this is episode 103, A Venomous Encounter. February 2nd, 1987, South Florida. At the Dreadnoks clubhouse, Reaper, the cover identity of G.I. Joe agent Lone Wolf, was working on his motorcycle. He was keeping his hands busy while trying to figure out how he could slip out unnoticed. He had intel about a meeting involving Destro and an important shipment bound for Cobra Island near the port of South Florida. General Hawk was counting on him to get eyes on it, but slipping away wasn't easy. Zartan was around more often than not, and Zarana always seemed to be watching him. Inside the clubhouse, the Dreadnoks and a few prospects were loudly playing pool. The newest guy, Chuck, was on a winning streak. He was puffing his chest and chirping impudently at the other guys, including regular members who did not appreciate it. As the commotion grew louder, Zartan called Reaper into his office. After entering, Reaper sat in front of the Dreadnought leader, who didn't waste time.
"It appears that we have a traitor in our midst."
He was staring into Reaper's eyes.
"Would you care to entertain me with a good story?"
The G.I. Joe agent kept his cool. He was wondering whether Zartan had picked up on something, or if he was just testing the waters. He thought for a moment, then smirked.
"The new guy,"
he said flatly.
"Chuck."
Zartan seemed surprised.
"Do you have any proof?"
he asked, leaning on the desk, his hands clasped. Reaper knew that he had piqued his interest.
"No, just a hunch,"
he answered casually.
"But at the very least, the guy needs a lesson in humility."
Zartan smirked at the suggestion. When Reaper stepped back out of the office, he made sure to catch Chuck's eye. The muscular rookie noticed.
"Hey, Reaper!"
he shouted.
"It's your time to get a beating!"
Reaper barely glanced at the table.
"I don't have time for your games,"
he said, his tone dismissive.
"Might be smart to keep a lower profile."
"What's the matter, Reaper? Afraid I'd win?"
Reaper didn't react at first. The prospect wasn't just talking about pool. He was implying something else, something bigger. The Dreadnought assassin let the moment stretch, knowing that the man was trying to undermine him. But Chuck doubled down, this time dropping all pretense.
"Or maybe you're just afraid of me,"
he said smugly. That was it. Chuck was about to get the lesson Zartan had silently approved. The fight broke out in a blur of motion, and despite the dice not favoring the player as much as he wanted at first, Reaper gave Chuck a fight he would not forget. He was aggressive, relentless. Every punch, every kick sent a message. He didn't just want to put the prospect in his place. He wanted to assert his dominance, to make a statement. He especially wanted Zartan to enjoy the violence. Reaper was as ruthless as his reputation suggested. And when it all ended, the prospect was lucky to still have a face. As Reaper caught his breath, he noticed a slight movement behind him. Zarana stood in the corridor, watching. She wasn't just observing, she was smiling. A slow, satisfied smile, like she'd just seen something she liked. Her eyes lingered on him, and for a moment, he held her gaze. Was it just a show of force that amused her? Something else? A genuine interest, maybe? Reaper wasn't sure, and now wasn't the time to figure it out. The adrenaline was still pumping, and he could feel the anger simmering beneath the surface. Without another word, he turned and walked toward the exit. No need for excuses. No one would question a guy who had just beaten the hell out of someone and needed to step outside to cool off. And just like that, he was gone. Though late in the afternoon, Lone Wolf had arrived at the location early enough to set up recording equipment in order to spy on the meeting. He had traded his Reaper disguise for something more casual. As evening fell, Destro finally showed up with an armed escort. He was accompanied by a man in a lab coat. One Lone Wolf recognized instantly, Dr. Venom.
I have important news regarding one of our latest experiments.
La Sombra de la Muerte, Destro asked. I heard about our recent setbacks. Lone Wolf knew that a shipment of La Sombra de la Muerte, the Shadow of Death, had been destroyed by a G.I. Joe team months before. He thought they were referring to that incident, but as Venom continued,
No, the first one, before we had to settle for the drug.
Lone Wolf was surprised. What were they talking about? Are you telling me that your team was able to perfect the mind-controlling substance?
Precisely,
Venom replied.
A biochemical compound derived from a rare natural gas is the key to stabilizing the formula.
And where can we find this gas, Doctor?
There are a couple of locations where it can be found in sufficient quantities, the doctor said. A secure government warehouse in Colorado, a processing plant in Siberia, and in its purest form in the Khuzestan province, Iran. Destro confirmed that once the perfected substance was ready, he would be prepared to integrate it into a series of intercontinental missiles for dispersion. This wasn't the only news that I had to share,
Venom said enthusiastically.
While experimenting with the components of La Sombra de la Muerte, our scientists created a variant.
Lone Wolf was listening intently. He wondered what else Venom had in store, reflecting that it would probably be worth all the trouble, but what he learned sent chills down his spine.
A variant that could reanimate the dead,
Venom continued.
Or at least their bodies.
Dr. Venom stressed that this new discovery was crucial for Cobra, and that the defective product was now en route to Cobra Island for reverse engineering, and of course, mass production. After the meeting ended, Lone Wolf retrieved all his spy equipment and then made his way to the nearest drop point to ensure that his vital information reached the Joes. Before making the drop, he carefully checked his surroundings, making sure that he wasn't being followed. As he was about to place the recording in its dedicated hiding place, under a particular loose brick in the corner of a dark alley, a figure stepped out from the shadows. Chuck, the same guy that he had beaten to a pulp just hours ago, now stood before him.
You shouldn't have followed me, prospect,
Lone Wolf said, deliberately enunciating the last word. Chuck's expression remained calm. He wasn't hostile. Clearly he was hurting, but he didn't seem to care. He simply extended his hand, offering a handshake, and with a genuine smile, he said, "No need to make the drop tonight, Lone Wolf. I'll bring the package to Hawk directly." Lone Wolf's expression darkened in confusion, but before he could respond, Chuck gave him a code word, one that clearly identified him as a Joe agent. Then as he reached up and removed his fake beard and hair, "Agent Philip Provost," he said, "but you can call me Chuckles." Lone Wolf raised an eyebrow.
Seriously?
No, Chuck was a bit on the nose, he said with a smirk, but it made staying in character easier. He went on to explain that Hawk had kept him in the dark on purpose, to make sure he genuinely hated the new guy's gut enough to start a fight. That fight, in turn, gave him the perfect excuse to leave without drawing suspicion. Lone Wolf exhaled sharply.
At least, now the intel will be in the right hands.
Without another word, he handed Chuckles the package and disappeared into the night. A few days after Chuck's sudden disappearance, Zartan called Reaper into his office again. He was leaning back in his chair, studying him with his cold, unreadable eyes.
"Where's the prospect?"
Gone,
he said flatly. Zartan kept studying him. Without a word, Reaper reached into his vest and tossed a few crumpled papers on the desk. fabricated evidence of Chuck's supposed misdeeds, redirected Cobra supplies, leaked intel, just enough inconsistencies to make him look like a liability.
I made sure he won't be a problem anymore.
Zartan scanned the papers, then he met Reaper's gaze with a knowing grin. Later that night, the whole crew gathered around the Dreadnought assassin.
Hey, Reaper! What's up with Chuck?
Buzzer asked.
Haven't seen him in a while.
Like, better give back the money he took from me,
said Torch. Reaper was leaning casually against his bike, looking at the ground.
I wouldn't wait for your money back, Torch.
Then he raised his eyes, a devious smile lingering at the corner of his mouth.
Last time I saw him, he was stuck at a construction site on 5th Avenue.
For a moment, everyone stopped talking. Then Ripper broke the silence.
Blimey, mate! Did you
He hesitated.
give him the Reaper special?
Reaper slowly nodded, an amused look on his face.
And now, we have concrete evidence that Chuck is part of a foundation somewhere.
The Dreadnoughts roared with laughter. And just like that, Reaper's legend as a ruthless Cobra enforcer grew even more, while the ghost of Chuck became a cautionary tale whispered over cheap beer and grape soda. You have reached the end of this report. If you'd like to know more but don't want to wait for the next episode to drop, you can visit my blog at gijoRPGstories.wordpress.com. And if you like these narrated stories, please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is David Martel signing off.